Great morning. Great morning. I'm going to let you guys come on in and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started. Once you come in, please go ahead and share this broadcast. Let me share. Come on in. Come on in. Great morning. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. Let me know who's here and where you are tuning in from. Great morning, Jackie. How are you, beautiful? All right, I have officially shared. Make sure that you guys go ahead and share the broadcast. This word is going to be a word that blesses and empowers. Good morning, Alita. It's going to be life transforming. Life transforming. I said it. I did. I said it. I said it. I said it. So, you guys come on in. All right. All right. All right. So listen. Y'all know how for me, it's always God, what is it that you want your people to hear? What is it that you want them to know? I've been talking a lot about this being a time of change, this being a time of transformation, this being a time also of suddenlies, right? There is no true change without some work. I've been talking about work. I've been talking about all of those things. But there is a word today that I believe is a word that is sent to encourage us and to inspire us and to remind us of what's most important, right? So we're going to go to the book of Matthew chapter 17, Matthew chapter 17. Matthew chapter 17. Stacy, if you will add that to the screen for me. Okay. Now, listen. Now, I want you to understand as I set the stage for what we're going to talk about today that Jesus just had a situation where the Pharisees and the Sadducees came to test him. They tried his gangster, right? They kept telling him, oh, we need a sign. You need to do a miracle. You need to do something to prove who you are. Listen, but Jesus let them know in no uncertain terms, listen, I'm not trying to impress you nor convince you. And the only sign I will give them is the sign of the prophet Jonah. And then he just left them and went away. Now, listen, as he went to the other side, there were some things that happened. And then this is where you have the declaration that Peter makes about who Jesus is. Jesus asked them, who do people say the Son of Man is, right? And then he asked, who do you say? Now, this is where they got, some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, some say Jeremiah or another one of the great prophets, right? So he's been establishing his identity. Jesus was all about establishing, who do the people say I am? And then who do you say I am? I need y'all to understand something. Listen, take it down for just 1 second, Stacy. Take it down for just 1 second. Because I feel like I got to address this. Listen. There will be people, okay, who will hear who other people say you are. And they'll accept what other people say about you to establish who you are, right? But then there'll be those people who, regardless of what anybody else says, know for themselves who God has said to them who you are. There is a difference between those groups of people. There's a difference, right? There's a difference between the people who say, oh, well, some people say you're John the Baptist. Some people say that you're Elijah, the prophet Elijah returned. Some people say that you're the prophet Jeremiah. Listen, but all of them were saying he was a prophet. Like, you're a prophet. We know you're a prophet. We know that. But, they're thinking that he's someone from the past coming to the present, right? Then he asked them, who do you say I am? Now, why is this important? Because we sometimes are surrounded by people who don't know who we are. And because they don't know who we are, they don't understand who we are. They cannot continue the journey with us, because their continuation of the journey will have us in someone else's identity of us rather than the identity that God has given us, right? So you come to a point in your life where you need people with you, close to you, around you, who understand who God says you are. So he said, but who do you say I am? And Peter said this: you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Listen, he said, look, only the Spirit of God could reveal that to you. Only the Spirit of God could. See, there are some people that the Spirit of God is going to reveal to them who you are. All right. Now, why is this important? With that declaration, Peter was then proclaimed to be the rock upon which the church would be built. Understand? His understanding of who God was, who Jesus was, allowed him to be established as the foundation, the rock upon which the church would be. See, the church couldn't be built on someone who was going off what somebody else said about who he was. Listen, because it would falter. No, it needed to be built on someone who knew who he was, even if they messed up. Y'all need to get this. Even if they messed up. Peter denied him. He messed up, but it did not change that he understood who he was. Okay? Now, because he understood who he was, right? And Jesus was going, like he's telling them what's getting ready to happen. Look, I'm going to die. I'm going to be buried, but on the third day, I'm going to rise, And then Peter, here you go, Peter again, right? Peter like, no, Lord, no, not you, Lord. You can't die. I won't let you die, right? He was like, no, I'll die before I let you die. Now, we know that wasn't the case, but, that's what he said, right? But this is what he said to them. And I need y'all to get this as we transition into Matthew 17. He said this. He said, if any one of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way. Take up your cross and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world, but you lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul? For the Son of Man will come with his angels in the glory of his Father and will judge all people according to their deeds. And I tell you the truth, some standing here right now will not die before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Okay? So now he's established. Not only that it is important for them to know who he is, right? But it is important for them to understand the significance of the role that they are to play in what is to come, because he understands that he's not going to be there. That's why Peter's declaration was so significant, because then upon Peter, God could build his church. Christ could build his church while he was the cornerstone, the stone that the builders rejected, because y'all know that the Pharisees and Sadducees rejected him. People rejected him. They said, oh, you can't be because you're just Mary and Joseph's son. You're just that carpenter's son. Oh, you're just a carpenter. Listen, there are some people who have counted you out. Some people who have established your identity by your circumstances, by your family, what it looks like. But baby, they don't know who you really are in God. And because they don't know who you really are in God, they can't go with you. Why? They're going to disrespect you. They're going to disrespect your anointing. They're going to try to treat you common, but you're not. They're going to deny the greatness that's within you. They're going to try to make you regular so that they can be better than you or equal with you. Listen to me. Where you're going, the assignment that you have, you cannot operate in that faulty identity that you have allowed the world, the church, your parents, your siblings, or anybody else to place upon you. Hey, sissy, you've got to walk in the identity that God has given you. See, when you understand your God-given identity, nothing can shake you. No one can shake you. You know who you are. You know that you know that you know that you know. And no matter what situation or circumstance you may find yourself in, you still know who you are. See, nothing changes that. You're able to stand, and having done all else, continue to stand. Well, Jesus knew that he needed some folks that would be riders, and he had a few folks in his circle that he knew he could count on. that he knew when push came to shove, they were true believers. They were the faith walkers. They were the ones that he could take in this most difficult, complicated situation and circumstance, and they would be there and they would stand in faith and agreement with him. Even if they didn't always get it, they didn't. They couldn't always get it, y'all. You got to understand this. They couldn't always get it, but they loved him enough to go with him certain places where he could only take a few. All right. So let's go on over into chapter 17, because here we are, chapter 17. All this has happened. He's told them what's going to happen. He's already tried to prepare them for the transition that was going to happen. And 6 days later, Jesus took Peter and the two brothers, James and John, and led them up a high mountain to be alone. See, this is the mountaintop experience. Now, you'll notice this mountaintop experience is significant. Who else took a mountaintop experience? With several people, not a lot, but several people in the Bible who took mountaintop experiences, and something huge and transformative happened for them on the mountaintop, right? Moses had to go to the mountaintop. You understand? The mountaintop, and getting to the mountaintop meant climbing, so there were some things you had to go to in order to get to the mountaintop. Now, so here they are, Jesus, Peter, James, and John at the top of the mountain to be alone, right? Jesus has been working, he's been healing, he's been ministering, and now it's time for restoration. See, you go to the mountaintop for restoration. There's a restoration period that you stand in need of. So they go to the top of the mountain to be alone. Now, as the men watch, Jesus's appearance was transformed so that his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as light. Suddenly, Moses and Elijah appeared and began talking with Jesus. Peter exclaimed, "Lord, it's wonderful for us to be here. If you want, I'll make 3 shelters as memorials, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." But even as he spoke, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my dearly loved son, who brings me great joy. Listen to him." The disciples were terrified and fell face down to the ground. Then Jesus came over and touched them. "Get up," he said. "Don't be afraid." And when they looked up, Moses and Elijah were gone, and they saw only Jesus. As they went back down the mountain, Jesus commanded them, "Don't tell anyone what you have seen until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." Then his disciples asked him, "Why do the teachers of religious law insist that Elijah must return before the Messiah comes?" Jesus replied, "Elijah is indeed coming first to get everything ready. But I tell you, Elijah has already come, but he wasn't recognized, and they chose to abuse him. And in the same way, they will also make the Son of Man suffer." Then the disciples realized he was talking about John the Baptist. Now, I want to take you back up in the text for just a minute, because I want you to understand the significance of the things that are transpiring in this situation. So they climbed the mountaintop after Jesus had ministered and served and let them know what was going to happen. Now they go up to the mountaintop to be alone. It's just Jesus, James, John, and Peter, right? His 3, right? Those were his 3 riders. They were always with him. They were there. They supported him. They traveled with him. They went into the rooms when other people were doubting and Jesus couldn't perform miracles because of a lack of faith. They put them folks out, and they came in with their faith like, "Let's go, Jesus. Let's get it," right? And so they go to the mountaintop, and as they're there, they see Jesus's his appearance transformed. He was transfigured. So let's talk about this for just a moment, because I want to talk about what the difference is between transfiguration and transformation. Okay. Hold on. So when we talk about transfiguration is not this gradual process. It's not. It is defined as a complete change of form or appearance into a more beautiful or spiritual state. It is a complete change of form or appearance into a more beautiful or spiritual state. It's a complete change. Like suddenly they were looking at Jesus one minute, and the next minute he looked different. His skin shone like the sun. His clothes appeared to be white. You all of a sudden there was a transfiguration. Now, why was it not just a transformation? Well, a transformation is a process of change. Come on. So, transfiguration is a complete change of form or appearance into a more beautiful or spiritual state. Now, let's look at the definition of transformation because they are not the same thing. The problem is we want to make everything the same thing. Everything is not the same thing. And when you understand that, then you can get clarity on what God is doing. Yes, there is transformation that takes place, but what happened with Jesus in that moment was not transformation, it was transfiguration. Okay. Now, transfiguration has occurred before. So let me get to that, y'all. Hold on. First, I got to be able to spell. All right. Transformation, a thorough or dramatic change in form or appearance. A metamorphosis during the life cycle of an animal. It is something that occurs over time. Transformation requires time for the change to take place. Transformation requires time for the change to take place. It is an act, process, or instant of transforming or being transformed. An act, process, instance of transforming or being transformed. The operation of changing one configuration or expression into another in accordance with a mathematical rule. But it is an operation, an act. It is a process. It is an instance, but it is not necessarily an immediate thing, right? It also does not imply a more beautiful or spiritual state, right? You can transform into something that is not beautiful or spiritual. But if there is a transfiguration that occurs, it automatically means that you have been changed into a more beautiful or spiritual state. All right. So one requires work, right? Jesus had been doing the work. He had been being transformed. He had been being changed. He had been going through his process. Yes, Jesus went through a process too, right? Yes, he was born as 100% God and 100% man, but he had to grow in stature. You understand? There was a growth process that even Jesus went through, right? The word of God tells us that then Jesus grew in stature and favor with God and man, right? So we know that Jesus went through some transformations. He went through some changes. That's why what happened at age 33 was so significant. 33, the age of 33 is a significant time, right? But when he was on that mountaintop, when they climbed to the top of that mountain, he did not go through a transformation. He went through a transfiguration. Okay. So that transfiguration was an instantaneous change. They looked upon him and he looked totally different. He didn't do anything different. He just looked totally different. Something happened. Something happened that changed his very appearance. And then here go Peter. Y'all listen, Peter means well. Peter does. He means well. Like he really does. He has good intention. Have y'all ever known anybody like that? Someone that's got good intention, but they just be doing too much. You be like, you doing too much. What is you doing? Listen, they got good intention. They mean well, but they doing too much, right? So they end up trying to turn an experience or an encounter into something else. In Peter's case, he wanted to turn it into a memorial. Well, listen, Peter's not alone. He said, listen, Jesus, how great is it that we're here with you and we get to see this? He was feeling real special, and he should, because not everyone was allowed to see that, right? So Jesus brought them in. They were in that secret place, the inner circle, the inner temple. They weren't on the outer court. They were in the inner court, the Holy of Holies, and they were seeing something happen that like no one else was seeing. So Peter said, listen, Jesus, this is so great. Look, why don't we build a memorial? Listen, we can build a memorial for you and Elijah and for Moses. We can build a memorial for everybody, and then everybody will always know what took place on this mountain. Now look, Some of us have built memorials to things that have happened in our lives, encounters that we had with God. We decided we want to build a memorial. We want to have a memorial. Well, look, let me talk about this for just a second. Let me talk about this for just a second. What is a memorial? What is a memorial? Because I need you to understand what he wanted to turn that experience into. Memorial, serving to preserve remembrance, serving to preserve remembrance or of or relating to a memory. The noun, something that keeps remembrance alive, such as a monument, something that commemorates. It's a keepsake, it's a memento, it's a record, it's a memoir, it's a memorandum, a note. It is something that it serves as a reminder of what happened. But listen, this is the problem. When we make memorials of our experiences, we tend to stay stuck in the memorial and we don't allow us or stuck in the past instead of allowing ourselves to be prepared for the future, prepared to move forward. We just stuck. We stuck because we built a memorial to whatever experience or encounter that we had, whatever thing happened, whether it was positive or negative. We built a memorial to it. A whole memorial. And now what we will do in our human state, y'all, I'm just talking about what we do as humans. When we establish a memorial, we'll keep revisiting it. We'll keep revisiting the memorial. Why do we keep revisiting the memorial? The memorial serves as a reminder. But sometimes what we do, listen to me, I need y'all to hear what I'm telling you. Sometimes what we do is we build a memorial to things that we need to be able to move forward from. We build a memorial to things that we need to be able to move forward from. See, God never intended for us to stay stuck in the past. Yes, did he want us to be able to recount the things of the past? Absolutely. Learn lessons from it. Look back to be able to move forward. He told the children of Israel, this is why you have feasts. Feasts are designed to share the stories of how God brought them through, to remind the generations that were to come the great things that God accomplished and the great things that God did for them. To remind them of the mistakes that the forefathers made so they wouldn't repeat the mistakes of the past. But they were not designed to be just a physical memorial. So this encounter that Jesus told them, don't tell anybody what happened. Don't tell anybody what happened. Not until I'm raised from the dead. Until then, y'all don't say nothing about this, right? There was a reason that God told them that. Just like there was a reason that God allowed them into that inner sanctum, that inner experience. And then the voice of God, come on somebody, a cloud began to fall down upon them and the voice of God began to what? Speak, honey. Look, hold on. God is so amazing. While Peter's talking about building a memorial, here comes the voice from the cloud that overshadowed them. This is my dearly loved son who brings me great joy. Listen to him. The voice was so booming and so powerful that they were terrified of it and they fell down. They were like, what is that? But Jesus came over and touched them and said, get up, don't be afraid. But when they looked up, Moses and Elijah were gone. See, because Peter was busy trying to establish a memorial instead of embracing the experience. I wish I had a witness. We're busy trying to build a memorial instead of embracing the experience. So we're missing out on valuable things. I just wonder, I'm just saying, this is just me. I just wonder if Moses and Elijah would have been there longer if Peter hadn't decided to start talking about building a memorial. See, now God got to interrupt what's going on to let them know, listen, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. I need you to listen to him. Listen to him, because he knew Jesus was going to have to give them some instructions, because Peter, with his overly excited self, would have got down to the bottom of the bathroom. Oh, we saw Moses and Elijah. We were on the mountain and Jesus was talking to Moses and Elijah, and his whole countenance changed and his face shone like the sun. But it wasn't time. It wasn't time to tell that. It was not yet time to release that. And so they went back down the mountain and Jesus gave them instructions, right? So now, Stacey, you can bring it down. So now, the disciples are asking him, Well, wait a minute. Wait. So why is it that the teachers of the law say that Elijah must return before the Messiah comes, right? You're the Messiah. So, well, why do they say that Elijah has to come? Jesus said they were absolutely correct. They're absolutely correct. Elijah must return. But Elijah did return and they didn't recognize him. Why? Elijah was to come to prepare the way. Well, who prepared the way for Jesus? John the Baptist prepared the way, but they didn't receive him. Remember, we just talked about this not too long ago. We talked about the beheading last week, right? We talked about how John the Baptist was there and Herod decided he was going to cut the head off because Herodias' daughter danced for him, okay? So he like, oh, I'll give you anything. Here we go. Men getting caught up in the satisfaction of their eyesight, the physical beauty, because men are visual, right? And so he put himself in a predicament that he couldn't easily get himself out of. And it meant that he had to do something that would affect so many lives, right? And he had John the Baptist beheaded for Herodias' daughter, who then gave it to Herodias. We talked about that, okay? And then she took it to her mom, like, here, I got it. I got his head. I got his head. But he was Elijah come to prepare the way for the Messiah. And Jesus wanted them to understand, just like he was mistreated, just like he was abused, just like he was killed, so too will they kill me. Now, they already given them some warning, told them what was going to happen. Hey, same way, I'm going to go through that too. And in that moment, they realized he was talking about John the Baptist. You see, there are some things that will be revealed to you upon further examination. My God. Sometimes there are things that will be revealed to you upon further examination. You ask God a question, and upon a further examination, he begins to give you that answer so that you know that you know that you know. You come to the revelation. You come to the realization. Because sometimes if a person tells you, you can't receive it. So when you come to that revelation on your own, it's like, wow, that makes sense. Now I get it. I'm the type of person that things have to make sense to me, right? Things have to make sense to me. When things don't make sense to me, my spirit is vexed. Like I can't have a bunch of open things. Like it can't just be open. Like I need dots connected. I need the circuits connected. I need that, right? Without that, it creates a level of anxiety in me, right? And so recently, I had an experience, and this is why I tell y'all, listen, anything you need to know, ask God, he will show you. Okay. When you hear God's voice, he will show you. I had an experience and there was something that was open. The dots weren't connecting for me. It didn't make sense. Right. And God came to me. And when I say he came, I'm not talking about God came down or anything like that, but he used my dreams, because I am a dreamer. He used my dreams to make something make sense to me. And in my dream, I began to weep. And when I woke up, I just was bawling. I'm talking about just bawling, because God had connected the dots for me in a way that I could actually feel it. I felt it. I got it, like, and my heart wept. Now, Jesus's journey is one that, as we are in the Lent season, right? We just celebrated Ash Wednesday on Wednesday, which begins the season of Lent, or the Lenten season, the 40 days prior to the crucifixion and resurrection of the Messiah. That time that many call Easter. This is a time where you are going to have supernatural access to insight, supernatural access to insight. If you really want to know the heart of God, you can. If you really want to know the heart of God towards a situation, towards a person, towards a thing, if you really want to know the heart of God, you can. This is a time where you really can tap in and plug in and get God's heart on matters. Our problem is we're not concerned about God's heart in situations. We're concerned about our heart. If all you're concerned about is your heart, you'll make some missteps and you'll injure some people that you have to give account for, right? So it is imperative in this season that we seek the heart and the face of God as it relates to everything concerning us. Because as he shows us his heart, as he shows us his heart, we can experience a transfiguration, not a transformation, but in that instant, God changes us so that we look more like him. There's a supernatural glow about us. And his heart shows up in the place of ours. So it's no longer our heart, but his heart that operates in the situation or towards the person or whatever it is, the event, the business, even like God is doing that. This is a season where that can happen for you. I'm not talking about it taking a long time. I'm talking about an instantaneous change, a transfiguration, a brightening. Because that's what happens. When you're transfigured, you get brighter, you get lighter. Like it's like the sun is beaming off of you, through you, like it is an ethereal or heavenly experience. And you can have it. Now, there are those who'll tell you that, oh, only Jesus could have that. Listen, let me tell y'all what Jesus said. Jesus said, and greater works than these shall you do. He is our elder brother. He is the firstborn. He was sent to set an example, to be an example, so that we can look at him and know what's possible for us. In doing that, when he descended into the pits of hell, took the keys of death from the enemy, he came back and he said, I am giving you all power. That's what he said to us, his younger siblings. Now, as an oldest child, there were always things I wanted for my younger siblings. I wanted to be an example and a model, but I always wanted them to do more than me. I wanted them to be able to benefit from my mistakes, and be able to take any patterns that I may have discovered and use them so that they could leap the line, so that they could experience a quantum leap in their life and not have to go through everything I went through. Literally, that was my heart's desire. Now, we know everyone has free will, so people have a right to choose. It did not happen the way that I thought it would. Like, I literally thought I was going to go to college and then all of my siblings were going to go to college because I'd gone to college and I'd shown them that it's possible. But that's not what happened. Listen, this is why you have to learn how to be an example without trying to force people to do what you think they should do. And that's whether we're talking about our siblings, our friends, our children, whether we're talking about our family, whether we're talking about our business associates, whether we're talking as a pastor, the members, whether we're talking as a prophet, someone you prophesied to. Listen, you have to allow people to take their journey. Why? Because it is in taking their journey that it becomes more personal for them. Revelation that you get that's like, oh, when it clicks for you, it hits different than somebody told me I had to. So I don't focus on you need to, you got to, you better, you should. I don't focus on that. I focus on empowering people to know that you have the ability to hear God for yourself, that God has given you all power. Because the key is in knowing your identity. Once you know your identity, you know your birthright, you know your heritage. But when you don't know your identity, anybody can tell you anything and you can just believe that. Circumstances will make you look one way or make things appear one way when that's not what it is. But when you know that you know that you know who you are, then no one can shake you. No one can rattle you. Having found my biological father, I know what that's like in the natural, and what God has been doing with that whole situation is showing me in the spirit realm how much more so it's like that with him. If my daddy says, baby, do this, you can do this because it's your birthright, I'll be like, okay, daddy, because daddy said it was my birthright. Listen, how long has God been telling us that things are our birthright? And we fail to act on it because we allow fear or intimidation or, not feeling like we're enough because of circumstances and situations to prevent us from walking fully in what has already been established as ours. It's ours. It's ours. It's already given to us. We already have it. Jesus has already done everything that needs to be done in order for us to live a life of dominion. Everything. God has already laid it out. It's there. It's done. But because we don't fully embrace who we are, we can't fully operate in it. Now, listen, I couldn't fully operate in stuff. Listen, not knowing that the reason I couldn't fully operate in it was I didn't know a significant part of me. Had no idea that that part of me was missing, right? But what I've discovered is as that those pieces have been added to me, listen, I'm going to tell y'all something. The stuff that I've gone through in my life has been traumatic and traumatizing, right? And it has at times caused me to doubt myself and question myself. My daddy made me feel like I can do anything, because it's my birthright. It's yours. Do it. What you waiting on? Be great. When he talks to the kids, be great. It's yours. Do it. It's your birthright. There's power in birthright. And you need to understand that you have a birthright in God. God has given us a birthright. We are joint heirs with Christ. He is our elder brother. Come on now. Now, y'all, want y'all to think about it. What do big brothers do? Protect. They're there to protect you. They're there to guide you. You don't have to be afraid. Even in the situation on the mountain when the disciples fell down at their feet because they were frightened at the voice of God coming through the cloud, Jesus touched them and said, get up. Don't be afraid. He comforted them. He gave them confidence. And they were able to get up because Jesus said it. What all is Jesus saying to us? He said a lot to us. And we sit around and act like it's nothing, like he ain't said nothing, like it don't mean nothing. But he's given us the power and the authority, but we fail to operate in it. We won't use it. I read something today and I shared it on my Facebook page because I promise you it's everything that God has been showing me. Like this prophet, I'm like, she way in Australia, but baby, she was saying the stuff that I've been saying, right? Like literally God is raising up warriors. Where the warriors at? Y'all all wimped out. The church has been made a mockery because the people in the church are some of the weakest, scariest, most afraid people I've ever encountered in my life. Ain't got no backbone, ain't got no spine, can't stand on nothing. But they want to stand on all the wrong stuff. They want to stand on the stuff that, listen, you worried about that. You need to be worried about walking in dominion. You so busy talking about, oh, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. You need to look at your freaking life. The fact that you are not living your life fully in purpose, on purpose, for the reason that God gave it to you. You ain't even doing what God said. You got the nerve, the gall, and the audacity to talk about Adam and Eve versus Adam and Steve. You need to get your life together. You need to walk in some dominion. You worried about stuff that ain't your business. That ain't your business. You let God handle people. So busy trying to correct everyone else's sin. Pull out the speck in their eye and you got a big beam in yours. You don't even see the beam. Oh, I'm perfect. You are not, as a lie. It is a lie from the pit of the hell, and it is self-deception. The enemy's got people walking around in self-deception, thinking that they are the ones to judge everyone's situation and what everyone should be. Fix you. Fix you. If you focus on fixing you, you ain't got time to be judging and ridiculing, determining what other people need to do and don't need to. Fix you. Warriors understand that you got to get ready for the battle. Y'all trying to battle the stuff that ain't your battle. There are bigger battles out here. Can we fight those? Can we fight the fact that the enemy has deceived us into denouncing our birthright in God? Fight that. Because if we know who we are, some other things will change in our lives. Period. This is a time when ministry is going to look real unconventional, real against the grain. Baby, get ready for that. See, God needs some people who will be a Noah when everybody else is mocking them. And when he tells them that it's going to rain, listen, they start building the ark and say, listen, it's going to rain. Even if everybody's, oh, it's never rained before. What is rain? We don't even know what rain is. What is that? You know, Noah kept building. See, if you want to do something in this season, I need you to gird up your loins and get ready for battle. God is looking for soldiers. He's looking for warriors, not wimps. Warriors, not wimps. Warriors, not. And listen, you need to have people in your life who are warriors. If you want wimps around you, you are a real wimp, okay? And a bully. You're not operating in the real power of God, because the real power of God will allow you to be able to be in relationship and communion with people who are freaking warriors. I don't want no wimps in my circle, because I know the enemy come at me hard. I need some people that can withstand and not be scared and not run away and not duck and hide in a cave. It's time to come forward. And when it's time to come forward to go to war, you need warriors. Not what? Not wimps. Warriors face the tough stuff in them first. So you can't be no real warrior if you won't face you. If you can't face you, how you gonna face the world? You ain't gonna be able to withstand. Somebody gonna laugh at you and you gonna buckle. Somebody gonna say that you're lying and you're gonna buckle. Somebody's gonna say something negative about you and you're gonna buckle. I don't want the bucklers. I don't want them. I want people in my life and in my circle who know how to stand. Even if everybody else disagrees with them, stand. Stand on it. And listen, let me say this to the women folk. Let me talk to us for a minute. Can I talk to us women folk for a minute? Huh? Can I talk to us for a minute? If you can run the man in your life, listen, that's a problem. You need a man who can lead you, whose voice you hear and you can respond to, who has character and integrity, that you know he got you, he got your back. That even if he messed up, he's got a heart like David and he knows how to repent. Not just be sad because he got caught. God is trying to raise men up, but do you know what we will do as women? You know what we'll do? We'll look at that man and be like, well, who do you think you are to try to rise up now? You ain't rose up all this time. So instead of encouraging him to be the mighty man of valor that God created him to be, God didn't create him for you to walk on him. He didn't. Out of order. He didn't. I don't care. It's out of order. He created us to be helpmeets to men, not runner overs. And we've fallen into a pattern of running over men and being drawn to men that we can run over. because it allows us to feel in control because we're afraid of being hurt. You better speak life into those men. You better declare that they're mighty men of valor. You better recognize when they back get a little stronger. I'm like, okay, baby, I see you. Back straight, back straight. You better do it, baby. See, right now, what real men need is women in their life who are going to encourage them to be the man God created them to be. They need women who can see their identity. And what women need is men who can protect us, who sees us as the precious jewel that God has created us to be, who can honor us and love us with the love of God, whose mission is not to control us, put their foot on our neck, berate us, belittle us, make us less than in order for them to feel good. Now, do you understand? This is the diabolical plot of the enemy, and it is diabolical, surely. And you see it played out even more in the African American community because of the enslavement of African people. Women were able to work when men weren't. Women were able to bring in money when men weren't. Women went through and experienced things that the men in their life couldn't necessarily protect them from for fear of their lives being taken. And I'm not talking about just the men being afraid of their lives being taken, but the women not wanting their life to be taken. There's so many pieces to this equation. And if we will understand that God is raising up virtuous women and mighty men of valor for a battle that's greater than all of us, it is the biggest battle of our life. It's bigger than the Ukraine-Russia battle. This battle is. Not to take anything away from the Ukraine-Russia battle, but it's bigger than that. And that is this whole thing where we don't know who we are, so that we can't experience those mountaintop experiences. We believe the lies that the enemy's told us for so long that we've denied the power. The word of God says that we have a form of godliness, but deny the power thereof. I don't care how much you say you pray and fast and you do this and you do that, but if you ain't got no power, I got a problem with you. I don't understand now how you ain't got no power. None, no power, no boldness, no balls, no guts, none, no courage. What? I'm looking at you a little sideways. I'm not gonna lie, I am. I'm looking at you a little sideways. Now I'm not gonna down you. You got your space. I don't want you over here mad. Because them the people that turn on you. Them the people that offer you up. I ain't got time for that. And the truth of the matter is, none of us do. This battle, the enemy's playing for keeps. He came to steal, kill, and destroy. He ain't playing with you. You gonna play pity pat with him? Tell me and you will never part with the enemy? What are you doing? Come on. Man up, woman up. Jesus understood that not everybody would understand what was getting ready to happen, right? But he knew that he had to have some people that he could trust with the intimate part of his journey. Even though he knew they wouldn't understand it all, even though he knew they would fall asleep, even though he knew that they would deny him, walk away, except for the one. Listen, he knew that. But he also knew that what was going to happen after that required their presence in that space, so that when they got on the other side and came to themselves like the prodigal son, they would get it. And then they could put the pieces of the puzzle together. God has been trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together for you. And now the question is, the $1 million, the $1 billion question is, will you stand on this completed puzzle that he's mapped out for you? Will you truly accept who you are? That it is your birthright to dominate, to walk in dominion. It is your birthright to be the head and not the tail. Is it going to require action by you? It absolutely is. But will you be willing to do what you must do in order to be who he has already ordained you to be, who you were created to be at conception in your mother's womb, when your daddy's sperm met your mama's egg, who you were created to be? It was inseminated in you in that instant. You were given all rights, authority, and privileges. As soon as the sperm penetrated the egg and you were created. Were there things you had to grow into? Absolutely. Are there experiences that you needed to have? Absolutely. But it doesn't change who you were created to be at conception. When the word of God says, before I was conceived in my mother's womb, you knew me. Man, that's powerful. Before you were conceived in your mama's womb, God knew you, loved you, ordained you, destined you for greatness. It was already your birthright before the sperm even showed up. And he strategically orchestrated for your daddy and your mama to get together wherever they got together, in the back seat, in the bedroom, wherever they were. God orchestrated that. But listen, do you understand how powerful that is? Though it may have seemed like an accident to them, it was not an accident. God had already orchestrated it for you to be conceived so that you could exist in this earth to fulfill the purpose that God had already ordained for your life. Y'all, do you not get how important that is? How huge that is? He made us promises. And he's not a man that he should lie. So when we walk out the promises that God has already ordained us with boldness, with our heads held high, no matter what our circumstances or situations may look like, we have the ability to change that. Yeah, we do. We can't change who our parents are. We can't change our past. But what we can do is we can take dominion right now in the present and shift our future with decisions. Listen, my prayer is that this word has emboldened you, given you a new level of boldness, courageousness, authority, that you will stand and walk out in dominion what God has already ordained for you to. Go occupy your territory. Go take the land. Possess the land. Do what God told you to do. Stop looking over your shoulders and, well, I don't know because I don't have. You just go and know that God will make provision. God will put together what needs to be put together. But go, do it. I would be lying if I said that it's not kind of scary sometimes, because it is, right? But courage is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to move in the face of fear. Baby, listen, there's some fear right here and I'm feeling some stuff, but I got to keep moving forward. So when I got my North Carolina driver's license, some stuff got real for me. It's like, whoa, like I live here for real. Like I transitioned for real. Like this thing is real. I said, well, I'm a North Carolina resident. And then I had to start embracing what that meant. I could go by the fields with cotton in it, stop and pick some cotton and connect with my ancestors, with their struggle, with their plight, with the blood and the power that exists in the land. There's a reason I'm in North Carolina and Virginia. There's a reason. This is where it all started for us. I'm talking about on this side of the ocean. It ain't where it all started, because where it all started, we were running stuff. But on this side of the ocean, this is, I feel this, it's an additional push to do what God has purposed me to do. to change the lives of his people. Yeah, we got to stop playing. We playing. We got to stop playing. God has given us dominion. He's given us authority. It was established in the garden. And then Jesus reestablished it with his sacrifice. Come on, you going to act like that wasn't nothing? You still going to be allowing the enemy to run rampant in your life? Run roughshod all over you? All over your purpose and your destiny? Oh, you ain't going to do what God wants you to do because you mad at the church people. Bump the church people. This ain't about the church people. This is about God. This is about your destiny, your purpose. It's bigger than somebody hurt you in the church. I ain't even saying go over into the church. I ain't even saying that. I'm saying, but can you connect with God and do what he told you? And if he tell you to go in the church, go in the church. Whatever he tell you to do that. Everybody's path is not the same, and it doesn't have to be. That's our problem. We want everybody to do it exactly the same way, the way that we know. The problem is the way you know is tainted. What did you hear from God? Hear from God and move on that. Jesus, as he stood on top of that mountain with Peter, James, and John, and he was transfigured and had a whole conversation with Moses and Elijah. And they encouraged him. And they said, we knew you were coming. And we're excited for what you're going to do. Strengthened him, built him up, and then left. Because they'd done their part. And he could then go do his. When God spoke, that booming voice coming from the cloud that descended upon them. And he said, this is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased, who I love dearly. Listen to him. That was an additional confirmation. And Peter trying to build something. Man, what you doing? This ain't about building. It's about building, but not building. Not building an altar, not building a memorial, but building people. So make it your mission to allow God to build you, for you to work on building you, and then for you to build people. Because the people are the church, not the building. Stop trying to build memorials and embrace the experience. I pray that this word has blessed you. I pray that you've gotten something out of it. I pray that you've been encouraged. I pray that it has strengthened you. I pray that you've seen something in God's word that maybe you didn't see before, or maybe you had forgotten about, that empowers you to embrace the you that God created you to be, the you that you were created as in conception, to not get caught up on how you were conceived or who your parents are, in the sense of allowing it to limit you, but understanding that God chose them too for a reason. There's nothing accidental about your life or your journey. All of it has been designed. God knew everything that was going to happen, and he created you to not only survive it, but to be able to thrive after it, that you might be able to minister to someone else and help them get through it. This word bless you. Feel free to make an offering at Cash App, $Passionate Pursuit, Cash App, $Passionate Pursuit, or PayPal.me/Passionate Pursuit. You all listen, put seed in the ground, because it's time to reap your harvest. I love you all to life, and life more abundant. If you would like to learn how to use the gift of your voice to produce and to create all that God has ordained you to produce and create, join us for the Mic Drop Masterclass tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're simply going to go to micdropmasterclass.eventbrite.com. micdropmasterclass.eventbrite.com. It's happening tonight. You still have time to register. It's absolutely free. If you want to do the VIP is $50. But listen, you can get the free version, baby, and get some things that are going to help build your confidence and your identity. Again, you're going to go to micdropmasterclass.eventbrite.com. It's tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it will bless your soul. Go to Mic Drop Masterclass.eventbrite.com. You all, I love you to life and life more abundant. Let the Spirit of God lead you, and guide you on your path, and stand. And having done all else, continue to stand and let the enemy know what I'm a warrior, right? I'm not just a survivor. I am a warrior, and I have come to take dominion. I pray that you guys would be blessed. Have an amazing day.